Yo, what up? It's your boy XcaliberZero, the music producer you can grow with, and today you're about to listen to an interview I had with Beats by Danny. Basically, what he did is we had an interview talking about sync licensing placements and how I got into sync licensing and different ways and tactics you can use to get more opportunities with sync licensing and how to actually get your music placed within these TV shows. So, if you're interested in that, please be sure to check out this one. I definitely drop a lot of knowledge as far as what I've learned and experienced through the 6 years that I've working for a music library. So hopefully you find value out of this. Be sure to check out my boy Beats by Danny as well. He has given out a ton of information as far as value of how to sell beats online, how to basically build a beat selling business. This guy's giving out the blueprint. Definitely recommend you checking him out. I know we've had him on our podcast before, but we want to make sure you guys check out his material because I feel like there's a lot of value there and that people are going to find a lot of information that is useful.
Hey, what's going on, Nathan?
What's up, Danny?
Yo, what's going on, man? If you can, just give a quick intro to the people on my channel and on your channel who might not know you as XcaliberZero. If you just give us a quick overview of what you do, who you are as a producer, and what you've been up to this year.
For sure. My name is Nate, but I go by XcaliberZero. I've been making beats for about 14 years now. I use FL Studio. Currently on FL Studio 20. Shout out FL Gang.
Nice.
I went to music for school back in 2014. I graduated from Full Sail University, and from there, I transitioned into going into a music licensing company for sync licensing for TV show placements and stuff like that, working on movies and advertisements, and mostly primarily TV shows. And from there, I worked there for 6 years doing like the administration work, like the back end work, helping out with cue sheets and different stuff like that, picking music for editors for TV shows and helping out music supervisors pick out certain playlists. And then from there, I recently quit my job this year back in May to go full time with this music stuff. So it's been an exciting journey so far.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's incredible. And that's why I have you on today. I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about your sync placements because I know that was a big thing for you and that is a big thing for you moving forward. And I want to see if there's some gems that these YouTube channel subscribers and anyone watching this content can gather from that. So thanks for that intro. And for those of you on Excaliber's channel that don't know me, my name is Beats by Danny. I've also been making music for about 15 years. And I started out making music for local rappers and artists and eventually transitioned into kind of just making beats for my own entertainment. And it wasn't until about 2 or 3 years ago I decided to start leasing my beats online, learning about the online music industry, and really pushing forward that way. So I've been starting up this YouTube channel to just share my knowledge with other people because there really are no secrets to this stuff. And hopefully people pick up gems along the way and can start their own careers, whether you're 17 years old or 73 years old, doesn't matter. It's never too late to start. Cool. So how did you get your start in sync placements for TV? You touched on it a little bit during your intro, but how did you get into that industry?
For sure. So when I was going to Full Sail, they had a career development program. And so when I graduated, the career development program had already been working with me and sending me leads for different opportunities. There were some in New York for like recording studios, just different opportunities doing like live production and stuff like that. But me personally, I knew I wanted to move to California. And I had a couple of options that were already set up, but the one that struck my interest the most was this one with Signature Tracks. It's the company that I worked for. They had basically an intern lead for working with them, free, no pay, but basically you would be able to get to work with them and then to be able to send your music for TV shows and placements. So I initially started working and interning them for 9 months with no pay. And then eventually that led me into an opportunity where they were having me on full time. And then from there, I worked from there for 6 years. So that's pretty much how I started and I got into that field.
That's incredible, man, because sometimes, when we talk about strategies for selling beats or making money off music, we always talk about providing value. And, a big question from people is, should I give away my beats for free? And should I do things for free? And I think you touch on something really important, which is like an internship. You worked for 9 months without pay. And to the Signature Tracks, that was you providing value to them. And for you, it was just, it was time, it was effort, it was resources. And, you made the sacrifice to do that for 9 months without pay. And eventually it did pay off for you, leading into a more full career. So for anybody watching, there's more than one way to do free things, right? And you never know what the outcome's going to be. But thankfully, in this case, it was a good outcome. Nice.
Definitely.
What's the hardest part about getting sync placements. So a lot of people talk about sync placements and getting on TV, and they say like, "Oh, there's good money in sync placements." But what's hard about breaking into that industry? If you can break that down for people.
So if you're a producer who has, experience that has more of like, your sound already, you're more comfortable and
Mhm.
you're confident with your sound and you're not just learning how to produce, this is definitely a route that I think every producer should take because it's more
Mhm.
accessible than trying to get placements within the industry, like getting in with the famous artists or anything like that. This
Mhm.
is really based on building relationships with music libraries. So they're basically the middlemen, like Signature Tracks is the middleman from the
Mhm.
music library who sends their music, who sends their entire catalog into TV placements. So if you're going the route of music library, it's a lot easier than trying to go and submit your music directly to the music supervisors because they're so busy. You're not really going to have the chance to get through that
Yeah.
door because they already have the relationship. So I think the hardest part would probably be getting your foot through the door, but
Mhm.
it's really accessible to find who these music libraries are. I mean, you can watch a TV show and you can see the music by whoever, or you can go on LinkedIn and search for
Mhm.
these libraries itself. So I think that part of it can be difficult, but it's not the hardest part. I think the hardest part is trying to understand the format and how the music should be formatted for television. So it's a lot different than doing just regular music for artists and stuff like that. You can get away
Yeah.
with making beats formatted that way, but there's more of a formula I feel like that is for TV. So I think the hardest thing would be is to understand the music that you're sending, not just for the TV show, not just for the music library, not just for the music supervisor, but for the editor, the person who's actually in the editing
Mhm.
bays making the TV show come to life, putting the story together and having the
Mhm.
right music in that context. So if you understand what kind of context the music is going to be put in before
Mhm.
you're sending your music or whatever, you're going to get a higher chance of getting placed and getting more placements. And that's what's helped me so far.
Wow, that's super gems, man. Like you just dropped like gems on gems on gems. Like I didn't even think of that. Like you said, when I think of selling beats to artists, I think about arrangement and I think about how, the hook and the verse and the bridge and how the artist is going to flow on it. But you touched on something really interesting, which is, you're describing the editor and the person who's putting together the film or the TV show and, getting inside their mind and thinking like, what are they going to need in order to, complete this scene, or how do I make their job easier so they don't have to add like long reverb tails to things just to make
Exactly.
things smooth and things like that. So I think that's super gems for anyone that wants to go the sync placement route. How do you get paid from sync placement? So let's say you are able to break through. How are you able to get paid? And then how might this be similar or different from like leasing beats?
Right. So when you get paid for getting placements, there's two different ways. There's front end and back end. Most of the time, you're not going to get front end because the music library is going to get front end, or
Mhm.
they're most of the time the music library, as an incentive to get in with that production company or that TV show, they're giving up that front end just to be able
Mhm.
to curate and have the back end. So I think that the back end is going to be the best way, which is going to be royalties, royalty payments.
Mhm.
You can think of it just like if you're getting paid for streaming or if you're getting paid for placements, for an artist, it's the same type of way.
Mhm.
But that I've heard before, and I don't know if this is true. I have to fact check this, but I've heard this from
Mhm.
a person who worked for BMI that the people who get played from sync placements get more money than the people who get paid royalties out of for artists. And I don't know if that
Wow.
I have to look up and really dig and like fact check that, but I
Mhm.
definitely believe it because I'm getting paid quarterly
Mhm.
for TV show placements that are 9 months or a year old that are still
Mhm.
circulating, that are reruns and stuff like that. So you're getting paid over time that compounds. So you're getting paid from shows that are airing, a year from like last year, 9 months ago.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I think, one of the big differences that I've heard in terms of what you just described from beat leasing is that once you're tied to a TV show, you're tied to wherever that TV show runs, right? So as an artist, there's only so many ways they're going to be able to get their music out there and to certain platforms, right? And when they release, usually there's a cycle, right? Like they come in and then they go out and then they have to drop another single. So with TV, it's almost like you could have, let's say you get a placement on a Christmas TV show. That's every year, and let's say that TV show or movie or whatever gets really popular, then you got payments for the rest of your life basically because there's a Christmas every year, So,
Exactly.
yeah, I think it really is interesting to think of it that way in terms of being able to target like the actual the actual TV shows and the seasonality of the TV shows. Man, that makes me think, like, I can only imagine how much like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Quincy Jones was like making off of like all those reruns.
100%. And if you think about it, like your one track doesn't have to be just for one TV show. It can live within hundreds of TV shows. It can live,
Mhm.
depending on the agreement that you have. So I definitely think that if you're looking to submit your music for the royalties, you should think about, how can this track live in so many different homes? How can this work for, any type of scene or specific scenes, so that I think that's a good way to think of it, because you're getting paid off that one track for hundreds of different shows. That's just one track. You got to think about
Yeah.
that and multiply that. So yeah, for sure.
That's interesting. I never thought of that actually. For some reason, I always thought that once you submit it to a library, you were stuck to that library, or even once it got placed on a show, it was stuck to that show. But yeah, the way you just described it, it's almost like non-exclusive licensing, right? So you could get on 100 TV shows if your song is that good or that. What are some of the best ways to get sync placement? So let's say you went down this route, you found a TV. A library that can pitch your stuff to TV. What are some of the ways to like increase your chances of actually going from the library to an actual TV show?
So if you're saying if you're already with the library, what's the easiest way?
Yeah.
So if you're with the library, the way what I would do is I would see if they have a brief for any shows that they have going on. So if they have any shows
Mhm.
that they have going on that they need music for, try to be the
Mhm.
person who's the main person for that genre or that style of
Mhm.
sound. If not, then I would contact them and see if there's anything in their library that they need more music of, and that you can specialize in. So like for music for television, it's about a year or two behind as far as the
Mhm.
current vibe of the sound. Like they're not, next year probably UK drill or drill type beats are going to be like a thing for television.
Mhm.
So I would be that main person creating that main style and submit about an album, so about 10 tracks
Mhm.
for that library. So I know we discussed before that I was making music for the NBA. So what they came up with
Mhm.
is that they needed 10 high energetic tracks that were for the return of the NBA. So what I did was I made
Mhm.
10 high energetic trap beats, and that became used on all different platforms outside just the NBA. It was used for like the MLB and stuff like that. So that's a
Cool.
good way to kind of approach it. So if you're trying to get placements, become that main source of that main genre or something that you specialize in. So if it's like R&B, make sure you're making like smooth R&B beats that are all consistent as far as the
Mhm.
sound, and then you're becoming the main source of that.
Awesome. And you touched on something really important, and I have a question around it, which is what are the best types of tracks to submit? Do you want to submit just beats? Do you want to submit full songs? Do you want to submit like what do you want to submit to a library essentially?
Okay, so for sure. So when you're submitting those tracks, it's good to send just instrumentals, but you can
Mhm.
also get away with sending full tracks, songs with artists. Like artists
Mhm.
definitely could take advantage of this. I feel like the artist part of it is probably the least saturated because it's the least
Mhm.
competition, and there's not that many, amazing artists. And I'm not trying to like bash anybody, but there's not amazing artists
Mhm.
that are really on these shows, and that's where people who have the talent and the drive can really take over. So you can approach it just doing instrumental, and you're going to get paid a lot that way. But also getting an artist involved, if you're a music producer, that is more of an incentive, because
Mhm.
one, artists get paid more because vocals get paid more than just regular background instrumentals, but you
Yeah.
are you are splitting that track more. You're taking 25% or whatever their split is going to be. So
Mhm.
I think that if I was a new producer, I would start off trying to get in doing just instrumentals. But if I
Mhm.
didn't have like if I wasn't getting any luck trying to get into that library, I would introduce the fact that you do have access to artists who are able to record themselves, or if you're able to engineer them or mix them yourself. So that's a big incentive.
Cool. Awesome.
Thanks for taking the time to answer these questions today. I just wanted to have you maybe talk a little bit about some of the placements you've gotten, and also, I know you have a course, so where can people go access that? And yeah, take it away.
So I used to have to track my placements and stuff like that. But the
Mhm.
placements that I've gotten that are bigger, I've gotten stuff on like Fox and stuff like that. But the NBA
Mhm.
for sure was a big one.
Mhm.
Instagram and Twitter's for Miami Heat when they were doing the playoffs was really big for
Cool.
me. I've done like ESPN, The Jump, Relevant Flow, which is on Netflix.
Mhm.
There's a lot of different ones. Vanderpump Rules is really big for me. Real Housewives, like the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Real Housewives of Orange County, and stuff like that. Those are really
Awesome.
big. So those are some of the main ones that I really get, like Ti, Family and Hustle.
Mhm.
A lot of stuff on VH1 as well. Catfish is another big one for me.
Cool.
So those are some of the main ones. And I do have a course, like you said, and it's basically explaining how you can get your foot in the door with, these music libraries and stuff like that, and the best approach. And I do help artists and producers as well get to that next step. I recently have someone who bought the course who just landed their first opportunity working for a TV superhero, for cartoon, like a cartoon superhero show.
Wow.
And within that course, it has basically a list of different libraries that you could submit to. And one of the libraries on there is the one that he ended up getting contacted by. So,
Wow.
that the course, I put a lot of time into it. But I definitely want to add more to it as well, as far as like how exactly to kind of format your beats. So we'll have like another course coming out that explains that as well. But yeah, you can find that on my site, XcaliberZero.com, or you can find it on BeatStars, XcaliberZero as well.
Awesome. Yeah. I purchased the course and it's helped me a lot as well. I've kind of been trying to plan my schedule so that I don't oversaturate myself with work in terms of like what I want to target. But I do see myself focusing on the sync placements, hopefully, and most probably at the top of the year. But yeah, I think your course has really helped me kind of just figure it out a little bit more and kind of understand this a little bit more. And obviously this interview has helped a lot as well. So hopefully, yeah, a lot of the young producers who are looking for more ways to monetize their music or struggling to sell type beats or, think that everything's oversaturated, that, hopefully you guys are able to understand that there's more avenues for your music other than just selling beats online. Although that is one, sync placements, and you heard Excalibur talk about this, sync placements sometimes often yield you more revenue for your song than a beat lease might. So definitely, this hopefully it's exposed your mind to different areas that you can monetize your music in. And hopefully you guys check out Excaliber's course and really enlighten yourselves around how you can get started if you want to go down this route. Cool. So yeah, I really appreciate your time, man. And thanks again for taking the time to sync up.
If you like this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This is your boy XcaliberZero. Thanks for checking out another video by your boy. And thanks for Beats by Danny for having me on. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My email is music@XcaliberZero.com. And you can also find my website below if you have any questions, if you have any, if you're trying to look for that sync licensing course or anything related to sync licensing and building that TV placement catalog for yourself. I do have all that information on my website, XcaliberZero.com. This is your boy XcaliberZero, and I'm out.